Let's talk truth about the Reverend Wright affair and use the term that Senator Obama, Lanny Davis, and other detractors of his rhetoric is called liberation theology. The main components of the school, which Reverend Wright interprets the existence of a deity, is an amalgamation of two components: the social gospel of Jesus Christ with the inculcation of critical thinking skills. Reverend Wright represents one end of the spectrum of the black community, as does Reverend Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, and John Lewis. Each have their message, whether we agree or not, and each have an important role to play to help both the black and the white communities struggle with solutions to institutional racism and perceptions. In point of fact, each of us have a role to play in this regard. How does a school teacher get the attention of their students? By the use of set theory. One of the methods employed by this is to use hyperbole, elicited to get the class's attention. Reverend Wright's rhetoric can be viewed as the employ of such an approach. His exaggerations were designed to arouse the attention of his congregants so they would understand both the gospel message and the disparity between the message and reality. As Senator Obama said in his speech, we must do unto others. But what about Hiroshima and Nagasaki? What about the overt and covert operations undertaken in Latin America in order to undermine the Latin American theological liberation movement? The results, perhaps not the actions themselves, received the support of the Catholic Church. One of the movement's central figures and its tenets and advocates have been excoriated by John Paul and Benedict XVI. The movement itself has been objected to by Benedict XVI. While, as Senator Obama articulates the role of liberation theology and the obligations of Christians to love one another, lift up the poor, the Bible and liberation theological perspective fuses survival, hope, and freedom. It also inspires a new politics, or becomes a part of a new paradigm of politics that Senator Obama and others, like me, are helping to fuse. Lanny Davis is a crony of the old politics, which is manifest by Senator Clinton's campaign. She needs division, for division, not unity, is the basis of the old coalition, the old governing consensus of us against them. As early as 1968, there were those of us who talked about the neocolonization of the ghetto and the development of the modern structures of racism, police, criminal justice system, welfare, and prison system. Great Society programs created both a black underclass of recipients and a middle class of administrators. The same held true for urban Hispanic communities. Consequently, it became incumbent upon the administrators of the system to ensure the continued existence of recipients, which, as Senator Obama noted, helped to create a cycle of violence, blight, and neglect. Many of today's leaders in the black community grew out of Great Society programs. In point of fact, racial gerrymandering, too, the result of the Voting Rights Act, is the reason for the Black Caucus. Mr. Davis and I agree that Senator Obama should have spoken out publicly about Reverend Wright's statements. Not doing so at the time they were made shows bad judgment on his part. Not doing so at the time they were made shows bad judgment on his part. His words were needed to temper those of his pastors, but his silence he has allowed his faith-based community, Afrocentric liberation theology, and the United Church of Christ to become mischaracterized by the media and misunderstood by the public. What he gave us ex post facto is the most important political speech of the last half century, but the Wright incident should not have been its catalyst. His speech is a cogent critique of race relations in America and stands alone in this regard. What is a bad judgment of Mrs. Clinton's? Her support of the Iraq War, the racist tactics used by her husband in South Carolina, the remarks of Geraldine Ferraro, the release of an unflattering or purportedly unflattering picture of Senator Obama to the Drudge Report. Does Senator Clinton disown her husband? My God, she has plenty of reason to. Or Mrs. Ferraro, or an overzealous aide. These issues and others will dog Mrs. Clinton in an general election, as no doubt the unscrupulous attempts to swift vote Senator McCain. Will they work? With some voters they will. Will this election turn on Reverend Wright, or the economy, the Iraq War, health care, mortgage foreclosures, And of primary importance, will it forge a new consensus in America? Does Reverend Wright have a right to participate in this dialogue? Do radicals on the right? If a presidential candidate has a relationship with a person of the right or the left, does this exclude them from running? Let's ask John McCain about Reverend Hagee. This is Joe Garcia. The site is reform.squarespace.com, reform.squarespace.com. The email address is 2008reform@gmail.com, 2008reform@gmail.com. I thank you for listening and have a pleasant day. Bye.